Hey everyone, so we are super excited to announce that we just launched our listing tracking feature. So now if you come under product research, you will see a tracking tab and the listings is unlocked. So what this actually allows you to do is track not only your listings, but your listings against your competition. So in order to do this, the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go and click add my listing. So we're gonna find a listing that we want to track. So let's say we wanna track out of this test account here, this listing here. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna add it. There's this button here now where you can add the listing to a collection to track. So this is called the inserts collection. So we just created a collection. If we go now back into our product research and go to listings, you will see we have a new listing collection called inserts. So now this is tracking the real data of our own listing. Now, if we wanted to track this against our competitors' data, there's a couple of ways we can do this. So we can add a listing by a listing URL, or we can add the listing from Product Finder. So we can go to Product Finder here and we could type in a keyword like pillow inserts, and we are wanting to track our direct competition for that listing. So a lot of times we think our competition is somebody, but it turns out that they're not actually our competition. Our competition is in a listing that doesn't just have the same core keyword, but is actually competing for that purchase with that purchase psychology. So we're looking for someone that is competing with us on potentially the price point and the actual product or design that they're selling. So if you are selling a funny shirt and you have a very specific saying, right? It's basically whatever people are searching for. So you selling a funny shirt for moms and you selling a funny shirt for dads is not your competition. Your competition, or in the listings you want to track against each other, are the ones that are directly competing with your listings. If that's what you're trying to figure out, is, if a direct competitor sells more than you. But if in that other example, if you wanted to see what sells more, a funny mom shirt versus a funny dad shirt, right? That is another way that you could utilize this tool. But the way that I'm showing it now, I want to see who is competing directly for the same purchase, for the same click as this listing. So let's take this one here. This is a direct competitor. Their price point actually is a little bit higher, but they have proven demand and they're showing up at the top for the most revenue. So obviously I want to track who is at the top and add them to that collection. So now if I go into my product research, you can see under my listing collection here under the tracking feature, I am tracking this competitor. Now, another way that you can do it, like we said, is by actually taking the URL off of Etsy. So again, we would want to find a competing listing that is showing some really, really good demand. So I think, which one did we just grab? So that was a different listing. So this one has one sold in the last 24 hours, a minimum of one sold in the last 24 hours. So you can see, yep, 4 people bought this in the last 24 hours. This is a direct competing listing. I'm going to go ahead and grab that URL and I am going to add that here as well to see if they are beating us as well. So you can see in the last 30 days here, both of these listings have more sales than me. We are actually getting more reviews, but in terms of sales volume, they are actually doing a lot better. So in terms of using this data, what takeaways am I looking at here? Well, one, I want to know, obviously, I want to pay attention to the listings that are doing better, but now I want to know why are they actually doing better. So a couple of things here that we can look at. So out the gates, they are a little bit older listings, right? So if you want to only track listings that are the same age as you, that is something that you can do in Product Finder. So we could have went pillow inserts and we could have put a filter on it for listings that are the same age as us. So we can come in here and filter by the maximum listing age. We can say, let's just say 14 months. So we can actually track in comparison to our own listing. So let's see if we can find a top listing here that has, so here's another listing. It says one purchase in the last 24 hours and it's 1 year old. So let's go ahead and add that to the collection as well. I It's interesting. It's definitely good to look at listings that are the same age as you, but I am not opposed to tracking listings that are older either, because reason being is because just because a listing's old, this is telling me that they're currently still making more sales than me. So yeah, that one that we just added they're actually doing worse than us, but they're on an upward tick. So they're probably a really new listing. So still interesting to look at. So I'm still keeping the ones that are older than me, because even though they're older, right, like I said, it doesn't, just because a listing's older, it doesn't necessarily mean that you couldn't beat them or do better than them. So let's keep looking at what are they actually doing that we can see that we're not doing. So they both are mixed. One's giving free shipping, one's actually not giving free shipping. This one is personalized, which is a key thing here that's probably really helping them, is that there's a personalization request where we can't actually offer personalization. I mean, we could if we wanted to, but it's just not a system that we've built. But it's interesting to note. So let's just see here, what other things could we try to do to try to compete? So they're not really doing anything that great. The only thing that really stands out to me here is the variation options that they offer. So they offer more variation options than us, and their main image is a lot cleaner than ours. So for us, if we wanted to try to compete with this listing, the two things that we could try next is just simply duplicating our existing listing and trying to test a new main image, right? So test a new main image and potentially offer more variation options, and then launch that new listing, and then add that new listing here to track as well, especially against our existing listing that we would want to track. But this gives you a lot of really, really good information. And you constantly want to reference your competition, especially, like I said, the ones that are doing better than you, to try to figure out how to close the gap. Like you can see here, both of these top listings are showing many inserts in that main image, where our image is only showing 2, right? So that's another indicator that we could potentially fix that and test our listing out with more pillows in the main image. This one has a pop of green, which maybe helps them stand out a little bit. So there's a lot of ways that we could test this listing to run it again to see if it can compete compared to our competition. Hopefully you guys really enjoy this tool. And remember, if you have any questions, you can always reach out to us in our chat bot right here in the corner of your screen. Please let us know if you have any questions at all.